Changer l'ordre, c'est intéressant.
Perfect. All right, guys, we're live. We're live. We're warmed up because we just did this version in French. So welcome, everyone. My name is Philippe. I'm co-founder at Oneka, and today I'm excited to be with Kahlil from Taking Roots and Simon from Arbre-Évolution. These are our two partners in our quest to compensate our carbon emissions. We've been tracking through a life cycle analysis our carbon emissions since, I said 2018 earlier, but it's 2017. And we've been compensating our carbon since, I believe, 2018. For the last 2 years, last year and this year, our commitment is to offset, right, to buy enough credit to compensate twice the amount of our emissions. As an example, last year we emitted 350 tons, and we've purchased enough credit to offset 700 tons. I'm excited to be with both our partners, Simon and Kahlil. Simon operates locally here in Quebec. Kahlil operates more internationally, and we work with them specifically to have a local support with Simon and Arbre-Évolution and the high efficient sequestration with Kahlil in South America, where the trees grow 12 months out of the year. So they'll tell us about their organizations and how they're doing a lot more than just sequestering carbon. I think there's a fun fact about this is both, Oneka is located in Frelicksburg in Quebec, south in the Eastern Townships, and Kahlil grew up here, and Simon's family is from here. So, and I both met them here in Frelicksburg. So Frelicksburg is the word today, connecting us strongly. But so anyway, so I'll turn it over to Kahlil and Simon for them to explain a little bit, introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about your organization. So Kahlil, if you will, break the ice.
Great. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's a huge pleasure to be working with you and Oneka. That's super cool. For context, I'm Kahlil, and I'm the executive director and co-founder of Taking Root. We're a nonprofit focused on reforestation, and just in general terms, what we do is we enable local communities across the world, mostly in the tropics, to develop reforestation projects to help improve their own livelihoods. We were founded in Quebec in 2007, but now are based all over the world, operate projects in all three tropical continents in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Started our work in Latin America and Nicaragua in particular, where we're currently operating the largest reforestation project in the entire country, and maybe all of Central America. Not exactly sure of that. So I'll surely go into more detail later.
Cool. Thanks, Kahlil. Simon?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm pleased to be with you guys. It's an honor. I'm Simon, Simon Côté. I'm a head coordinator of Arbre-Évolution. We are a solidarity co-op based in Lille, province of Quebec. And we've been in action in the offset market since it's been 7 years so far. And we've developed two programs, and both of them have been helped or sponsored or been by Oneka. Oneka has helped us out in those programs. I'm going to talk about it later. And yeah, we are very pleased to keep going, and we have the wind in our sails, in our sail. Recently, even the pandemic hasn't stopped really for anything for us, except maybe less people on the ground in the same time planting trees. But except that, we feel that private company keep having this need to do a difference and to offset their carbon footprint more and more. And I hope, but I don't think it will slow down. I hope it will keep growing. Right now, we feel that it goes up. still. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the intro. I'd love to go into each of you and the benefits that you're offering, or that the projects, your carbon sequestration projects offer aside from sequestering carbon. So, Kahlil, if you can share, on the social level, other environmental benefits, but I think it's really important for people to understand that you guys are doing much more than just sequestering carbon, which is in itself a huge thing. But that your projects go beyond that.
Yeah, for sure. Pleasure. And maybe just to start the context with where it comes from, carbon, and then how forests are so much more than carbon. At a high level, I think it's really important to understand that reforestation, at a pretty large scale, is indispensable in the fight against climate change. If we're going to reach the Paris Agreement target of keeping climate change well below 2 degrees Celsius, polluting less is absolutely, that has to be there. But equally, that won't get us there on its own. We have to remove a lot of the carbon that's already in the air. And the only technology that exists to do that at scale, proven, is reforestation. But to think of reforestation and forests and trees solely as a carbon pump is a bit like saying a smartphone is a watch. As in, yes, a smartphone tells you the time like a watch, but a smartphone does so many more things. And it's the same with the forest. Yes, they pump carbon out of the air, but forests are absolutely essential for basically life on Earth. They filter the air. They're the host for a huge proportion of the world's biodiversity. They protect the soil. They regulate the hydrological cycle. And they're really fundamentally core to the way of life and livelihood of hundreds of millions of people. So maybe I'll leave it at that.
Just a teaser, huh? Just a teaser, I guess. We'll come back with more detail about like the impact on people and communities and stuff. But so for you, Simon, what are some of the benefits that go beyond sequestering carbon?
Yeah, but for us, like Kahlil says, planting a tree is an opportunity to get people together and to take action concretely towards climate change, tackle climate change. We are with a social reforestation program. That's the first program that we've created, and Oneka has been a good ally with that program. Well, this program is aimed to answer needs, like local needs, that goes way beyond carbon offsetting. So planting a tree, like I said, we have been able to create an opportunity to put people together with the reforestation program, but we also put in the balance all the other positive aspect that planting a tree can make, like to help for the riverbank, protect local infrastructure from wind and from snow, embellishment, also to filter the air, create cold island, or like the contrary of heat island. So to tackle that, especially when we plant in urban area, there was a study in United States lately that said that one tree in a city like Philadelphia, I don't know, it worth almost $1 million, just one tree, for all the benefit that it gives toward with filter the water, like and create very more average temperature. So it's amazing. We don't even know how to calculate properly the benefit of one tree. So imagine forests all over imagine how important are the forests all over the world. So yeah, it's way more than carbon offsetting. Carbon offsetting is actually almost a pretext, a reason that we can use to talk to private company. It's the way we can trade the tree in itself almost. So all the rest has to be put at light, and I think Kahlil with Taking Root is doing an amazing job, and us as well with the social reforestation program, and riverbank carbon also, which is the other program that I might talk later on that.
Cool. Thank you, Simon. Kahlil, so one of the things that really, I should say, attracted our attention when we started working with you is the benefits that the trees that you plant have. So I know there's coffee. I don't know if I can call it a tree. I've never actually seen one, but like, fruit trees, etc. So you're not just planting trees that sequester carbon, but you're planting trees that creates industry. So can you tell us more about that and how, like, the impact it has on the communities, the people, the education, all of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a core focus of what we do, and I don't want to call this like a co-benefit, sort of like this the most point of the core of what we're doing is we're improving people's livelihoods and revenue sources through reforestation. And the reason that makes sense is to understand that the primary driver of deforestation, the reason why there's a need for reforestation in the first place, is driven by people removing forests, clearing forests to make room for other activities, other land uses that help improve their livelihoods, right? And so unless you address those drivers that are causing the problem in the first place, reforestation can't be successful. And so in most cases around the world, forests are cleared for agriculture. People are cutting down trees to grow food and raise livestock, again, as a form of agriculture. And you can't fight that. People need to eat. People need to earn a livelihood. So the way that we can make reforestation work is make reforestation a complement to those activities. And so for that reason, our approach is entirely driven by reforestation systems that improve livelihood. To give a few examples, we're working in the coffee sector in Latin America, growing trees with coffee plants. And so coffee is actually one of the more interesting ones. Coffee, the kinds of coffee that we all drink, grows better at cooler temperatures higher up in the mountains. And as temperatures rise, right, the warmth is going up the mountain and making existing coffee plantations way less productive and basically not even viable. And so by increasing forest cover within existing coffee plantations, we can directly create a bit more shade to reduce the temperature on the farm to help coffee yields and coffee prices, while at the same time sequestering carbon. We're working in silvopastoral systems, intermixing trees with cattle, et cetera, et cetera. And so as a result of this, we've really done two things. On the one hand, we've sort of kickstarted a bunch of local economies that are based on reforestation. We're producing reforestation coffee in those communities. We're producing reforestation woodcraft and timber. We even started making biochar. And so there's these huge benefits and whole economic activities that are being driven by this restoration circular economy. And then the second one is direct cash payment. So while all these benefits that I mentioned about this come from trees, they take time, because trees, when you plant them, they don't immediately start providing those benefits. They need to grow, and those incur a lot of effort. As Simon was talking about, you got to get people together, you got to plant them, you got to weed them. There's a whole lot of work, and that's time, that's effort, that's cost. And so we provide direct cash payments based on successful outcomes. So when we're selling a carbon credit, 60% of the price of the carbon credit is going directly as a cash payment to local communities who are usually living on less than $2 a day, based on their successful outcomes of growing the trees. And so even through that, we've channeled over $10 million directly into local communities, not even to mention the local economies from the coffee and the wood, et cetera.
That's amazing. Thank you, Kahlil. I'm really excited. It's funny. I'm realizing how excited I am to work with both of you. So, not that I didn't know, but it's just coming up. Simon, what about you? Like, what would be the social benefits? I mean, maybe you can talk about the riverbank project that filters water and protects, from pesticides on farmland.
Yeah. This is it's a new program that we've been launching. We're gonna launch it in a few weeks. So this is focused on agricultural land. We want to widen to put more large to wider. Can I say that? I don't know. Yeah,
Increase.
we want to go from 3 meters, which is 3 meters is the law that any agricultor or farmer need to follow. That's the provincial law, but it's not enough in many cases. It's just not enough to filter the water and the rainwater and to give the river or the stream a chance to get better. So especially if this 3 meter line is not properly constituted from trees. Sometimes it's only not even shrubs. So we want to pass from 3 meters to 8 meters. So we add 5 meter, and in those 5 meter, we're gonna put 2 lines of trees and edible shrubs, and we're also gonna seed a mix of herbs that gonna attract pollinisator, bees and wasps and colibri and all those animals. So and those insects. There's lots that we do, lots more than the carbon offsetting that we do with riverbank carbon. But obviously, planting trees on the sides of rivers, it gives a better chance to the river to get better by creating an ecosystem where water is not gonna be that hot, gonna stay colder with the presence of shades from the trees going up by sides, and it's gonna clearly filter the water because of the presence of roots in the ground, roots of trees and shrubs, and also roots of all the herbs that are gonna grow up there in the process. So we imagine yourself like a riverbank with only 3 meters ish, and big tractors going right there to the lane. There's almost nothing except from some herbs that protect from the river. Imagine that compared to an 8 meter riverbank with 2 lines of trees and shrubs, where it's not the same thing at all. So if we have sufficient support from private companies and we sell credit carbon enough, I think we can have a direct impact in the next year on the quality of rivers in Quebec. So that's the goal, and Oneka is helping us to do a first project. We've terminated in June, last June. So we're pretty excited to take this program at the other level.
That's cool. I think one of the things that needs to be, or shed light on is the fact that you're not you're not stealing land from the farmer to just ruin that, or I should say that provides no benefit to the farmer. I'm hearing planting trees, shrubs that provide whether it's blueberries, I don't know what it is, but like you're getting value out of that piece that goes beyond sequestering carbon, protecting water. The farmer is actually able to get crops of it's a different crop, of course. It's not corn or soy, but there's value. There's value there.
But they get the compensation as well. I haven't talked about that, but it's in some region doing, and now we have a little link with Taking Root in some way, because here, government is helping a lot farmers, but if it wasn't of the government, farmers would be in trouble, because they have to face insecurity because of climate change. So sometimes they keep going cropping their soya or their maize, but with the compensation that we give, which is almost $22,000 per hectare, in some region in Quebec, it would be better for them to stop doing their industrial activities there and to let carbon riverbank project in place. So we're talking about this is allowing us to see big in a certain way, because we have the key that stops most of the project of riverbank and trees in agricultural land. The key is unfortunately the money. The fact that the agriculture, they take a risk because they can't, and they're used to work the same way, to have their same amount of profit each year per hectare per culture. It's not a lot, but with carbon riverbank program, it's clearly interesting also on the revenue for them. So it has a goal of securizing their revenue as well. So we are that's the other aspect of the program, which is not negligible.
That's amazing. Thank you, Simon. Kahlil, I'm wondering, how do you measure? And I think Simon and you have kind of the same things. Like, how do you measure the value, the impact on a farmer family, on a community, on a region, from planting trees? And this is beyond the carbon sequestration, which I know you've got equations for. So many trees over so many years will more or less sequester so much carbon. So that measure, I think, is pretty much figured out. But like, how do you measure? Like the impact that you're having on a family, because now they have 600 or 1,000 or 2,000 coffee trees that they can work from that weren't there before.
Yeah. Well, first I just want to start by saying that there's an amazing level of similarities with like what I'm saying and Simon was saying, and like there's like a tropical perspective and the northern Quebecois perspective. But otherwise, I feel like we're like literally saying the same thing, just in a slightly different context. So definitely some great synergy. In terms of measuring impact, that's just pretty important to us in our organization, because ultimately what we do, when you think about it, is kind of crazy. Like, we're selling carbon credit, which you as the client, the person buying it, you don't get anything. You don't get to see it. You don't get to touch it. You don't get to taste it. You don't get to smell it, right? And so the data that's behind it is essentially the product, right? Unless and actually, just to say, like, a lot of people are often concerned. They're like, is this a scam, right? How do I know this is even true? And so a big piece of what we need to do from a commercial perspective is create that trust and legitimacy, and a lot of that's done through data, not just in terms of quantifying carbon, but the impact that we're having. But that data is also really core to the design of our programs, right? Because like if we're creating value for communities outside of carbon, then they want to participate, and the more they want to participate, the more trees we can grow. And in fact, Taking Root is almost a technology software company at this stage as a result of like this heavy need of quantifying data. And so we quantify and measure a number of things, and I'll talk about them in a second. These are core to inform the decisions we make. And these are things like, well, obviously we're calculating and tracking the payments, the direct cash payments they would give to people. We're quantifying, and as I mentioned earlier, that's like over $10 million has gone out to communities in that way. We're also then measuring direct employment and indirect employment. So we're employing, for example, in our largest project in Nicaragua, we have about 90 people on payroll who are doing this. So we're actually one of the larger employers in the region where we're operating in. But then what's really interesting, and we only started calculating this a handful of years ago, is that we realized that with the money that we were paying, a lot of people were hiring their neighbors and people around, help them support with their on-farm activities. And so then we started asking, let's start tracking that. And we realized that we're at some point, the time of the year, at least seasonally, employing up to 3,500 people throughout a year. And then we started looking into that deeper and then realizing that the people that we're employing are by and large what are known as landless farmers. And so when you're doing reforestation work and you're working with landowners, you're inevitably forcibly working with the people who own land, right? But the most vulnerable people in an agricultural community are the farmers who don't actually even own their own land, and they have to like basically rent land. so in this way, this employment has much greater social impact per dollar in. And those are the core things we measure beyond like forest growth and carbon. No, and there's some degree of biodiversity, as you mentioned. So we've recorded over 150 different tree species in our program. So when we're planting trees, we're also encouraging natural regeneration. And that ends up giving us a plethora of species. And we started even tracking different plants and animals within there. And so, super interesting fact, there's about 30 bird species in the project region in Nicaragua that are also Canadian bird species. And it's just part of their migratory route. And so in the same sense, like actually by growing trees in Latin America, we're having an impact on birds in Quebec. And it's kind of super cool. And these are some of the things that we're measuring. But I also want to point out that there's a whole like plethora of impacts that are really hard to measure, but can't be ignored. So if we're not commercializing people's coffee and they're growing more coffee now, well, that's creating a whole other source of income for people. And then not to mention the employees that they hire to help pick the coffee. And then if you go down the supply chain, and there's this like cascading snowball effect, which are just really hard to quantify, which we sort of know anecdotally are happening, but don't directly measure.
That's amazing. Thank you, both of you, for being with us today. We're at the end. We'll take in some questions. I just wanted to share with people here on the call how they can themselves, first of all, look up both of your websites for more information, but how they can also compensate their travels or their impact personally. So if you would both please share where they can go and do that on your respective platforms.
I think it's been added there on the chat.
Okay.
For
I
us,
can't see it.
Yeah, it's for
okay,
us.
Great.
Website, it's calculcarbone.org. Sorry, it's only in French. But you can measure your carbon emission, especially on transports, cars, planes, and also tractor. Yeah, you can compensate your tractor. And this is transforming a tree, and you buy the tree, and we plant a tree in the social reforestation program with a lot of love.
Yeah, that's amazing. What do we have any questions? Okay. What other actions should we take to protect our forests, individuals and governments?
I want to say on that is that right now there's a big fight going in Fairy Creek in BC, where there has been 1,000 arrestation from of the GRC, RCMP, and those young people and those native from native community and not native community, they are all together right now, trying to protect one of the last ancient forests in BC. And there's been a federal court judgment, a rule that has stopped the injunction, so in favor of the protester over there. So you should read about it. We did a post on our Facebook page, and you can read the judgment from the judge, and it's pretty much it's very interesting what it says. And this is not not everybody can do this kind of action, surely, and sometimes probably not the good action to take, but sometimes it is. So this is the radical one. There's other stuff you can do, but you can stand up and protect your forest.
I know there's I've heard of. Thank you for that, Simon. So you're saying people can actually support and contribute to Fairy Creek on Vancouver Island to protect the old growth forest. And I know there's a sites. I don't know if we can share. I don't know what they are, but if you look up, I know there's sites where you can donate for people to just have food and the people that are there. So Kahlil, I'd like to hear you on ideas what people can do to protect forests.
Yeah, I mean the direct link that's in my area of expertise is just being in consumer choices. Taking the coffee sector, for example, coffee can be grown full sun and it can be grown almost full shade. And often the fair trade organic and especially bird friendly coffees are coffees that come from areas that are grown under trees. And the more that we create consumer demand for agricultural products that support and are forest friendly, the more the incentive is for farmers and producers to produce in a forest friendly way.
So fair trade coffee is a way to ensure that there is coffee grown in shade. So there's even more biodiversity and I guess carbon sequestration ultimately too.
Yeah, I mean, fair trade doesn't directly say that. However, fair trade is almost always produced by small producers, and small producers almost always produce in agroforestry, whereas industrial producers tend to produce full sun.
Amazing.
Kahlil, I have a question to Kahlil. We've been doing a partnership with Café Charlevoix, and I'm pretty interested of where to get their grain. But I'm sure I know some grain are from Nicaragua, and we have a partnership with them, and it gives us a little amount of money that we plant in a friend community in Ometepe Island in Nicaragua. It's a very small project, though. Yeah. But I don't know if the grain comes from one of your farmers. That would be crazy.
That would be, yeah. We don't have projects in Ometepe Island, but I know that it's a wonderful place, and I'm sure it's great.
Awesome.
Cool. Hey, guys, we're at the end of our time together. Thank you so much. I know Rosalie just put how to support Fairy Creek. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for our partnership with you. We're so proud and excited to have a diverse, array of ways that we're compensating our carbon. And thank you for all of our clients for supporting Oneka, which ultimately supports Taking Roots and Arbre-Évolution, and each product sequesters carbon. That's the way we look at it. So, guys, Simon, Kahlil, thank you so much for being here. Simon, did you have something?
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Okay.
I've been starting another conversation right now on another.
Kahlil, Simon, thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thank you, Philippe and Simon. It's been amazing.
Yes, thanks, guys.
You're doing
Bye,
awesome.
bye.